What's up guys, how are we all? Welcome back to another video. I was about to say good morning, but it's actually 6:15. The reason I'm starting today's video at this time is because I'm going to the local crit tonight. Now I don't normally do crits, it's not my style of racing at all, but I fancied a change, so why not come down to the local crit? There's normally a few decent riders that turn up to this crit, so it should be a pretty good night. Now I've got the GoPro on the bike, so let's race. So here we are, start of the race. We've got the GoPro on with the onboard footage, and with the power overlay there you can see at the top. We've got the course on the right hand side. It's a basic course, to be honest. It's just sort of a couple of turns and a few straights. So we've got the course on the right hand side and also the time that we've been racing for. And then on the left hand side you can see the speed there and also my heart rate. So the first couple of laps, not much really happens. Everyone's just sort of warming up, getting into it. There's a few solo heroes which break off the front, but nah, nothing sticks at this point in the race. Everyone's too keen to chase in, everyone's fresh. So I've been in a couple of early breakaways, nothing stuck, so there's no point showing you. Just out for a few minutes with 3 or 4 guys. I think I've been in 3, and I just noticed here that 3 guys just nipped off the front. Now these are 3 really strong guys, and this is a very dangerous move, so I'm sort of planning here when I'm going to attack, and I'll spot the gap through between these 2 guys and then slip down to the left and just power off the front. I know I needed to get across to these guys, because if there's a breakaway that was going to stay away, then it would be with these 3. They're very good local riders, so I just had to get across to these guys. So it wasn't too much of a job because they weren't going full gas at the minute. They were going sort of 90-95%. And there we go, managed to get onto the back of them here. Now this is a little tip: if you're going to do this in a race, get across the breakaway, just hover off the back slightly for a minute or 2, and then as the guys come round, they don't think that you're on yet, so they'll come through and take another turn. Effectively, it lets yourself have a bit more of a rest, and then now I got my breath back, I've recovered a bit, so I get onto this guy's wheel, and then I'll roll through and take my turn. But fair play to this guy, he's obviously got a problem with his leg. I believe he was an ex-army, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, yeah, rolling through now, everyone's taking an equal turn, sort of 30 seconds each. It's nice and consistent. Now this is where it starts to get a bit easier in the breakaway. So after you've made that initial effort to get into the break, and then you start to take even turns and you've got a nice bit of recovery, it is quite a lot easier to maintain your gap. So there you go, see the guy just pulled out there. He's obviously not quite as strong as this guy in the front, and that was him done. He'd obviously gone to the limit, and he sat up and waited for the group to come around and catch him. So I'm just going to speed this bit up here. We're just basically taking turns, 30-second turns for quite a while. Alright, so here we are, I'm on the front. Just flip my arm through, let these guys come through. The guy in green's missed his turn, he's sat on the back, and there we go. Guy in blue is off, he's had enough. Now I think this is because sort of one of the guys was starting to miss a few turns, starting to look around a bit, and when that starts to happen, everyone gets a bit twitchy, and you know, they don't like when people aren't taking equal turns. So there we go, the guy in green just took off there and managed to latch onto the back of him. Now it's all back together. Alright, so we're into about 37 minutes now, and here we go, just about. Wait for it. As I come through to take my turn, there we go, and he's off again. Pretty much the same point as it was earlier on. Just decided to go for it again. Now I'm not too sure why, because this guy is probably the best sprinter out of all 4 of us if it did come down to a sprint, but I don't know, maybe it's just wanting to stretch the legs today. He went off the front again, and he got quite a considerable gap. He's a strong lad, this one. Now the decision from me and this guy in red was just to not react to it and just to work between the two of us to try and reel this guy back in. The guy in green is sat on again, so it's basically just between us two to slowly reel him in, and the idea was to bring him pretty close but just to leave him hanging, so he's still having to burn a few matches, so in the hope that when it comes down to sprint, if it comes down to sprint, he would be a bit more tired and wouldn't have that fire in his legs to sprint and beat us both. So we come around this corner now, and if you look very carefully now, there is a suicidal rabbit there. I genuinely thought I was going to come off then. That rabbit was very lucky. Anyway, as you can see, the guy in blue is well within our sight and well within our grasp. We've just sort of left him hanging here for the past 2 or 3 minutes. So we've knocked the pace off a little bit. As you can see, we're only sort of doing 26 mile an hour as opposed to 29 or 30. So yeah, it's just hovering there. Me and the guy in red still just taking equal sort of 30-second turns. Now this is where it gets interesting, because the guy in green decided to come through, and I thought, I wonder why is he coming through to take a turn now? He hasn't done all race. Anyway, so we come around this corner, he starts to swing out. I still don't know at the minute what he's doing, so I sort of put in a little burst to get back onto this wheel, and then next thing, bang, there he goes. He attacks off to join the guy in blue. Now I know now, looking back, he obviously pulled out to let me use a bit of energy to get back on that gap, so he could be back at the back, so no one could see him when he did go and attack and sprint off, which, you know, from a tactical sense is good by his part. Again, the general consensus between me and the guy in red was not to attack, just to keep it smooth and press on, just to try and reel these two back. But these two are two very strong local riders, so that's a very, very dangerous move there. So we're coming around this corner, we're still just taking our turns, and suddenly we realise the group are back on. So yeah, that's us two reeled back in. You'll see now the group starts to roll through and knock the power right off. The two guys that attacked us earlier on, the guy in blue and the guy in green, are both still away. So we just rejoin the back of the group here. Now it's about 12 or 15 minutes to the finish, so I'm just starting to think about recovering. You know, we've been out for a long time between the two of us, and the three of us doing hard efforts, doing hard turns, sort of 400 or 500 watts. So now I'm starting to think about taking a drink, just easing up the legs, trying to recover a bit, so I have a bit of a zip when it comes to the sprint at the end, and I'm not just fully blown. So there we go, 59.5 minutes. You can see on the board there, 1 lap to go. So the pace is knocked right off here. Sort of a bit of a game of poker to go on. Now I never really like it to come down to a sprint, so if I can, I'll always try to get away. I never like being in a head-to-head sprint. It's just, you know, sprinting is not my biggest strength, whereas I can sort of hold a high 5-minute power. That's sort of one of my fortes. So yeah, I'm sort of looking for an opportunity here to sneak out when the pace knocks off, and then here we go. I happen to look back at the right time and see this guy in red. It's just sprinting to the outside, so I think, boom, there we go. There's my chance to get out, so I'm right up there at 1300 watts, as you can see. Just trying to get into this guy's wheel, and this was the guy, if you notice, this was the guy in red that I was with the Breakaway. So he's obviously a very strong rider to still have this amount of energy to get away. As you can see, I'm having to do 650 watts and I'm still not even on his wheel yet. He's a very strong rider, so fair play to him for you know, having the balls to attack like that on the last lap after us both doing such a long effort. So this is the last corner now. There's a guy behind me that latched onto the back of us. I only noticed him at that corner, so I tried to pull out to try and convince him to come up the inside, but he wasn't having any of it, and I just had to get onto this guy's wheel. So I knew he'd be out of gas coming up to the finish line, which is just about here, so I decided to sort of put a sprint, and yeah, guy in orange just takes me on the line. obviously he was much fresher. He hasn't been out the whole bloody race, but yeah, good race. So yeah, picked up 4th there. The 2 guys stayed ahead, so I was happy with that for my first crit of the year. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little onboard overlay commentary from the crit. If you enjoyed that, or you'd like to see a bit more of that, just give this video a thumbs up. That would be great. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.